You can draw this in Procreate. During this video, I'm going to take you through all the steps to create this super cute axolotl sticker in Procreate. All you need is a canvas of 2,500 pixels by 2,500 pixels and a color palette. I have left a link for you down in the description. It's totally free. So then if you're ready, let's get started. So the first thing I'd like to do is change the background color. To do that, you can go to your layer menu, the two little squares, and then tap background color and then pick the first one. So we don't have a 100% white canvas anymore. Then we are going to draw the head. And for the head, I'd like to use the monoline brush, which you can find under calligraphy. And it's in the classic library. If you're not in the classic library, then you need to tap that arrow down and then go back to libraries and then pick the classic library. And now for the color, we are going to use this third one in the first row. Or actually, to make it more visible for you, this won't be the final color, but let's use the fourth color in the first row, just so you can easily see it on our background. Now what we are going to do is we are going to draw a circle, but first let's set the opacity to 100% and the size can be at 10%, but it doesn't really matter. So now let's draw a circle like this. Hold your pen in place, and you could tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly round circle, but it can also be a little bit like an oval. It should be something like this. And then you can drag in the color by dragging this circle into this circle. Now what we'll do is we are going to squish it a little bit. So we'll go to the magic wand and then to liquify. And then you can set it to push with distortion and momentum set to none. I have my pressure to max, and with the size you can play around a bit. And I want the top part to be a bit squished like this. The bottom to be a little bit more flat. So we get a shape like this. It's a little bit at an angle. Something like this should be good. And now we can switch the color to the color that we really want, that third color, and just drag it on there. Next, let's create the body. We are going to do that on a layer underneath this one. So first we need to tap the plus and then tap and hold a new layer and drag it underneath. And now for the brush, I would like to go to the inking brushes and use the studio pen. Now this brush, the line becomes thicker if you press harder. If you are using a pen with pressure sensitivity like the Apple Pencil, so if you press lightly, it's thin, and if you press harder, it'll be thicker. It's more obvious at a bigger size. And for the color, let's use that fourth color again, just so it's easy to see for you. And for the size, I think we can go for 10%. And we are going to draw the body. We're just going to create like a little oval shape. You could hold your pen in place to make a quick shape and then drag in the color. And again, you could go to the magic wand to liquify to push and pull a little bit. If you need to change it a bit, let's make the size a bit smaller. I want to stretch it a little bit here. So this will be its belly. And then attached to that belly, we will make its tail. So let's go back to the brush by tapping it. Now let's start here and make a shape like this. And then here as well, attaching it. Now we can go in here, we can drag in the color. And you might need to tidy it up a bit. You can tap and hold the eraser to make it switch to the studio pen. And then you can just go along the edge if it needs some tidying up. And here with the brush, perhaps we can go a little bit higher. It looks weird, but this will be all right. We have the body and the tail now. Now we are going to add some legs. Let's tap the plus, drag this layer underneath, And then let's also make this that lighter color. So we'll pick the third color, drag it on there, then go back to this new layer, and then we'll use that darker color again, just so we can properly see it. Fourth color in the first row. And then let's make a little arm over here. Drag in the color, and then you can add some little fingers. Look, he has this really chubby hand. It's not like a real axolotl. They don't have these chubby fingers, but I think it looks cute. And then over here, make sure you close the shape before you drag in the color. And then again, let's make some chubby fingers. And then we'll make more legs on top of the body layer. So let's go here, tap the plus, and then let's make one over here. You can also immediately make those chubby fingers. Little hand over here. Something like this, and then over here. Close the shape, drag in the color. Simple little legs. Now before we continue, let's add a face for our axolotl. Let's go to this layer and tap the plus, and then pick this color, third color in the third row. And let's rotate a little bit because the head is at a slight angle, and now we can just look at it, and it'll be easier to create like a symmetrical face. Now let's make one eye over here and one over here. And then we'll create a smile in between. And the great thing about having this on a separate layer is that you can easily move these elements around. You can just go to the Move and Transform tool, move it around, rotate it a bit. And if you want to move separate parts, you can go to the Selection tool, select an eye, for example, then go to the Move and Transform tool. And you can move it around, rotate it, and you can go to the Selection tool again, select the other one with the freehand option, then go to the Move and Transform tool again and move it around. That way it's easy to create a cute little face. And the thing is, the bigger you make the eyes, the more cute your character will look. If it has big eyes and a big head compared to the body, it'll look more cute. So I actually feel like the body might be a little bit big compared to the head, but that's easy to fix. You can just select the three layers, the body and the legs, go to the Move and Transform tool, and make it a little bit smaller. So something like this. Then let's work on, I'm not even sure what they're called, those things on the head of an axolotl. Let's make a layer underneath the head. Let's tap the plus. And then for the color, let's pick this one. That's the fourth color in the second row. And first, let's make these lines like this. So they're going up and to the side, and then on this side as well. Kind of looks like he's bald and has just a few hairs. And also here. So something like this. And now we are going to make these a little bit thicker. Like this. Add some volume, make it more thin as you move to the end. And then on this side. Just adding some volume to these. Yeah, it looks a little bit silly this way. Let's make another layer underneath this. Let's go here, tap the plus, then go for this color, second color in the second row. And we are going to add some wavy shapes. Make sure to close it and then drag in the color. I'll skip this one so we can later on easily add gradients and stuff to the elements without going over the other element. It'll make sense later. So let's skip that one and go to this one. Drag in the color. I feel like this one might be a little bit big. We can use the eraser to get rid of a part. Then go back to the brush, go to this one, drag in the color, and then this one. And then on a separate layer, we'll do the middle one. So let's tap the plus and then create one here. Drag in the color. And here as well. I hope you're having fun so far creating your own axolotl in Procreate. If you want to have even more digital drawing and painting fun, then I think you will like my Patreon page, because there I have more than 250 Procreate drawing and painting tutorials. So that's loads and loads of hours to keep you busy and to get your drawing skills to that next level. And also you'll be part of a super fun community. So I would love to see you there. I will just leave a link for you down in the description. But now let's continue. Now we have a super cute basic axolotl. Let's also add a little like fin thingy on its tail. Let's go here, tap the plus for a new layer, and then switch to this color, second color in the third row. And we're going to make a wavy shape and connect it to the tail here. And close it and drag in the color. Now it's time to start shading. Let's turn on alpha lock on these layers. You can tap the layer and tap alpha lock, or you can slide to the right with 2 fingers. And what alpha lock does is it locks the pixels that are already there. So now we can only paint on the pixels, on the color that's already there. So we won't be going outside of the shape. So let's first go to the head. And then for the brush, we'll go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And then for the color, let's use this one, second color in the first row. Opacity of the brush, let's set that to 60% and set the size to maybe 14. Let's see. Yeah, that works. And lighten up the top. And then we'll switch to the fourth color in the first row. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller, maybe 8%, and go along the underside. Just a bit. And then let's also create rosy cheeks. Let's start with the second color in the second row and make the brush a lot smaller, maybe 2%. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Making this oval shape here, right underneath the eyes. And now we can go for the third color in the second row, making this even a little bit brighter, especially in the center. So you get something like this. Then let's move on to the body layer. And again, let's pick that second color in the first row. Let's make the brush a bit bigger, 8%. Go over the belly, a little bit along the edge of the tail. So you can just paint over here. You don't have to be here. You can go at the top, outside of the shape to make a really soft glow. Then switch to the fourth color in the first row. Now let's add a bit of shadow right underneath its head. And then let's make the brush a bit smaller, maybe 3%. Add a bit of shadow here and here next to his leg. Yeah, that looks good. Then let's go to the legs. Let's start with these. Let's pick that third color in the first row. And let's make them a bit lighter. Then let's go to the second color in the first row. Add a bit of light here. And then let's also pick this third color for the lower leg. And you can also pick this local color here to nicely blend it in. And we can pick that fourth color in the first row for a slightly darker edge here. Then let's move back to that body layer and add a bit of shadow here underneath that little arm. And now to nicely blend these limbs with the body, what we can do is we can go to this layer, tap it, and then add a layer mask. Now on this layer mask, we can paint with black. We can double tap here. And then we can block part of that layer. So you can nicely blend it in. Just go over the top here as well, just a little. And that way you get a nice smooth transition. I do feel like this arm might be a little bit too dark. So we can just go to this layer, then pick the third color again, and just go over here. There's also a slightly dark spot on this layer. I'll just go over there. Looking good. Now let's go to these legs. Let's stick to this color, lighten these up at the top. Now we can go even brighter with the second color in the first row. Slight light at the top. So super cute and simple. Now let's move to the tail part, that little fin-like thing. Fin-like thing. Sounds crazy. In any case, let's pick that lighter blue, first color in the third row, and go over the top a little bit. And I also want to add some sparkles here. And I want to do that with one of the luminance brushes. Let's use the glimmer. Mine needs to load a bit, but we have the glimmer brush here. And opacity is at 100%, size at 6 or 5. Let's go for 5. And then go over this area and add some of those sparkles. And I think these would look good on the head as well. So let's go to this layer and then pick the second color in the first row. And we can go over the top of its head, just there, adding some light sparkles. You could even do that on its belly on this layer, just along the front, just a few little sparkles. Then we'll move to these things that I don't know the name of, but that look really cool in the illustration. For this, I'd like to go to the spray paint brushes and use the medium nozzle Mine needs to load a bit, but medium nozzle. And for that one, let's pick the third color in the second row. Opacity is at 60%, size at 25. And let's go over the lower area like this. And then also use that first color in the second row and use that at the tip, creating a super nice gradient. And we could even go a little bit darker by using the fourth color in the second row. You can use that a bit over here at the base. Then let's move to the middle ones. Let's pick that third color again in the second row. Create that nice gradient. Then switch to the first color in the second row. Go over the tip. And you could also use that fourth color again in the second row along the base. And then we'll switch to these lines. For those, I want to use the third color in the second row as well. Go over the tips a bit, very slightly, and then pick that fifth color in the second row, the darkest color there, and just go over the base. Perfect. Now, the only thing we need is that nice sticker effect. The way to do that is by first creating a merged version of our axolotl. Let's turn off the background color here. Then we can slide down with 3 fingers and use copy all. Then slide down again and use paste. Now we have a merged version of our axolotl. We can turn the background color back on, and then we can drag this layer all the way to the bottom. Then make sure that you turn on alpha lock on this layer. Then pick pure white, just double tap here. Then tap the layer again and use fill layer. Then tap the layer again and turn off alpha lock. And now we are going to blur this layer. So we'll go to the magic wand, then to Gaussian blur, and slide to the right until you see this little glow around your axolotl. And then we'll go to the selection tool, the S-shaped ribbon, set it to color fill and to automatic. Then tap, and you can use the slider at the top to make that sticker edge bigger or smaller. I'll go for this. And then what you can do is you can go to your brushes, you could go to the studio pen, and then you can just tidy parts up, maybe close that area. Sometimes the edge can be a little bit pixelated, so you could just go along the edge and tidy that up. And then as a final step, you can add a shadow effect. For that, you need to duplicate that white layer, then go to the bottom one and fill that with this color. Fourth color in the third row, you can just drag it on there. And you can't see anything right now, but when you look at the layer, you see that it's this grayish color. Then you can go to the magic wand, to Gaussian blur, slide to the right to blur this layer. I'm going for 14%. Then go to the move and transform tool, that's a little arrow here, and move it down and to the right, or down and to the left, or wherever you want it. I'll go for down and to the right, and then tap the arrow again. And then you have created a cute little axolotl sticker. Now go ahead and share them with the world. Let these axolotls take over. And then I'm hoping to see you next time for the next tutorial. Thank you for watching.